Welcome to Midweek Mindset with Anetta and I. We're glad to be back this week. I had to take a little reprieve last week, so I appreciate everybody coming back to join us. Tonight,
Yeah,
we wanted to talk about finding peace within our process, whatever that looks like for each individual. We all go through these stages and phases that are different, for everyone in each season. So we want to talk about what brings us peace and what grounds us through all of that.
yeah. Thanks for joining us today, guys. I feel like can be moving so fast and we get so caught up in the motions. We forget to actually live in the present moment or learn to keep our peace in that present moment. So I think this is going to be a really good topic for a lot of us as what seasons are changing. We're going into summer, so like everybody's schedule is changing. If you are in school or if you have kids that are in school, it's really learning to find peace in those moments. So we're really happy to find that that you guys are joining us today. So Emily, do you want to kick it off? What
Sure.
does it
So,
finding peace in the moment mean for you?
yeah, so peace in the moment, I think, is a really big part of my practice.
Hmm.
So for me, it's a lot of grounding techniques and mantras and affirmations.
Hmm.
And that's been the case for quite a while. I'd say since my deep healing journey and my trauma recovery, I learned how much self talk matters and the way that I speak to myself matters. So when I find myself, getting lost in the process, whether it's creative or emotional or whatever the case is, I try to bring myself back to center by, I have like top five that I'll go to, like be careful with your I ams. So one of my quick things is like, I'm so frustrated. And then I'm like, pause that. I'm feeling frustrated, but I am capable of doing this.
I like how you rephrase that. You said, I am frustrated, but I am capable of doing this. I think that's a really valuable thing because one, you're acknowledging your emotions and you're not pushing them down. But two, you're combating your emotion with a solution. And I think that's a really powerful thing. Like today for me, like I feel like my patience was just getting tested all day. And I was just like, I had to reassure myself, like, you're patient. It's gonna be okay. There's a perfect timing for everything. It's just something little like I was, looking in my suitcase for my hairbrush, and I couldn't find it. I went through every single piece of clothing to only find it was in a completely different bag. And it's just, like, frustrating because like, you think you put it there, but then it's like your patience is getting tested. But then it's like, "Okay, well, what is this trying to teach me? What can I learn from this?" Take a deep breath, Anetta, number 1, and know that it's here, and you'll find it at the right time.
Yeah, I love that you say it's like you're feeling tested too,
Yeah.
because, we go through these periods of growth and we accomplish these things. And then sometimes we start to get wrapped up in the material of the process or the time of the process. And it really, in those moments where it feels chaotic, it matters most that we're able to identify what's happening and realize this is, an attestment to all the work that I do. So can I pull myself from where I'm at to my baseline?
Yeah, and that's honestly like a test to see are you serious about get receiving what you said you wanted to receive because if you wanted to be more patient, you're going to be tested with your patience. And it's in those moments of, am I going to choose to make the right decision or not, to see if it's truly right, or if you're truly ready to receive that and to go to the next level, because I'm a firm believer that we're going to be tested with the same challenges and tests until we learn that lesson. It may come in different forms or from different people, but until you learn that lesson, it's going to keep coming up, but in different forms.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that shows up in like different scenarios too. So even,
Mhm,
something that is maybe a family thing could transfer into the workplace based on what we carry in us. Um, and I agree with being tested continually as well. I like to think of it as like leveling up.
mm,
So I kind of imagine life as a video game, and you have all these side quests where you gather XP experience, and then you have a big boss level where you have to, something comes up and you have to use all of these skills that you've gained to defeat this boss. And when you do, you can level up. But, that repeating cycles definitely comes into play. It's recursive,
so
yeah, Forest.
absolutely, absolutely. Also, something that was coming to my mind about this topic was finding patience through by maximizing your minutes. So, like, for example, like, best way to maximize your minutes is what kind of practices can I do in between? For example, if you have 30 minutes of a chunk in between your day, in between a meeting, or in between doing some kind of errand, it's like what kind of thing can you do to practice your patience or practice your grounding techniques? Can you do a 5 to 10 minute meditation? Can you take 5 minutes to do your affirmations? Can you do something in those minutes? So it's really mastering your minutes as well and really finding those time blocks because at the end of the day, like we all have one thing in common. We all have the same 24 hours in a day, but it's how are you using it? If you're picking up kids from school and you're in waiting in like the pickup line for your kids at school, what can you do in those 5 to 10 minutes? What can you do in those 20 minutes? And it's really finding things to put in those minutes.
Yeah, that's so applicable, especially as a mom and an aunt. Like, I have kids around me all of the time. So it's before they wake up, can I get a journal page in? Or, while I'm making their breakfast, can I say my affirmations? So it really is like a practice working them in. But that was also something that I was thinking about earlier in regard to like energy budget and working smarter, not harder.
Mhm,
Um, I find that once a tool works for me, I can more easily adopt it and incorporate it into my routine. And that I think, when we're talking about time as well, my energy gets put where it's most efficient. And I think that does well for my energy levels as well.
I wanna know more about what you mean about energy budgets. I think that's really interesting.
So like you say, we all have 24 hours in a day, right? So for energy budget, I kind of came up with that because in the past I had this like die hard motive to spread myself as thin as possible.
Mm,
And it wasn't until, I took a step back and spent my time healing that I realized, your energy is really sacred. It's your life force. So if you're giving all of that away, you will become a shell. It happened to me.
mhm,
So with the energy budget, my main question is the energy I'm putting forth being returned to me? If the answer is no, then I can adjust, I can take away, I can remove myself completely from the situation. Um, and those are things that really help me stay moment to moment in line with myself.
mm.
Like if I feel myself overextending, I'll say, all right, is this even being appreciated? Because that's my baseline. If you don't appreciate it, then my energy can go elsewhere.
But that's so important how you said spreading yourself thin, because a lot of times if we lack boundaries, and I've been there so many times, I would spread myself so thin. This happened a lot in the workplace where it's like, oh, can you stay late? Oh, can you help me? Can you help this person? Can you run the front desk? Can you take this client? And I would always be spreading myself thin. So that's really valid on what you just said is if it's not adding value back to you, then you don't have to give your energy to that person, place, or thing. So I love how you said that.
Yeah, yeah, I encourage anyone to think about their energy budget and where they're spending their energy, because we all have situations, people, events in our lives that frankly don't warrant the attention, the time, the energy that we give it. And it's such an incredible act of self care to prune those branches and just get rid of them.
Absolutely. Maddie said, I'm the type of person who puts all their eggs in one basket, and everything to me is high priority, even though they are small tasks. How do you, what's that? How do you say that word?
How do
My
you
English.
mitigate?
Mitigate. Thanks. My English
Uh-huh.
sometimes, the energy you use in the to one small thing.
Into one small thing. I would say what's most important to me right now. What's
Mm,
most important to me right now? Another thing I adopted since becoming a mom is it's better than it was. So that's cleaning, tidying, like anything around the house that isn't life, death, hysterics. You do what's most important. Give me a concrete example, Matt. What do you have going on? And shout out to Maddie, to everybody who's here. Go check out her page. She's incredible and she's coming out of her shell with writing, and I am so proud of her.
so cool.
Yeah. And I
Man,
mean, everything does hold importance. Um,
on a scale,
so
put everything on a scale of 1 to 10. How important is it? Because everything may be important, but there's a different level to it all.
definitely. And, if it's all important, it all needs to get done, then what's going to bring you the most joy first? So for
Peace.
me, it's like if I have a messy desk, I have a messy mind. So if I'm feeling that, I will just clean my space, and that way it's a physical representation.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just like really putting down, writing down out a list of your priorities and understanding like put a 1 through 5 or 1 through 10. What's most important on this list and what do I need to achieve first? Exactly like you said, if your desk is messy and you're not going to be productive in that environment, then yes, clean that and organize that. But if that's not important to somebody, then that's not a priority on the list. Like my career is important, but I hurt my hand, and because I failed the test, I may not get promoted, so I feel like I need to rush to heal up.
I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, Mad, but I'm a realist. You can't rush healing your body, babe. You can't. And give yourself grace. You have pushed so hard and accomplished so much. Um, in regard to getting promoted, uh, you know, we continue to find a route around, right? I know like the answers that they're giving you in your field are like straight, direct, and no, and kind of mean, but that doesn't mean that your core purpose is lost. So, example, when I was in social work, like my core purpose is service to others. When I was doing it in social work, it drained me completely. It took everything from me. And so I took the time to rest and heal, which was 3 years. Um, and now, God, I lost my train of thought because I got wrapped up in the past. What was I at?
It's okay. I kind of want to add to this, Maddie. Whatever you're working for work, yes, it's valid, and yes, you should achieve the goals that you set for yourself and what's important for you, especially career-wise. But don't try to settle for something when you know there's something greater on the other side. And I say this because I was watching a video the other day, and this girl, she was from another country and she came to America, and she really wanted to work at Vogue. Like, she did like an internship there and everything. And they were like, we love your work, we love what you do, but we cannot continue to work with you because that would mean they would have to sponsor her visa. So they said, no, we're not going to sponsor your visa. So she said, fine, that's okay. She became an influencer. And a year and a half later, Vogue contacted her and they're like, we actually want to feature you in the magazine. Sometimes when we settle for the rose, when we're trying to settle for the rose, God's trying to give us the garden. I don't know what career you're in. I don't know what you're doing, what your goals are personally, but I can tell you, don't settle for a rose when God has blooming the garden for you. I wanted to do that so many times I wanted to settle so many times at the hair salon for a certain position, but God always had bigger plans. So I had to be okay with the rejection because rejection is redirection to something bigger and better that you can't even imagine. And quite honestly, you're probably overqualified for the role that you want, and there is something better out there for you. So that's just my perspective on it is take your time to heal and get clear on your mindset about what you want to do and what you truly want and what other bigger possibilities are out there.
Yeah, I love that. That comes full circle because it brought me back to my thought of, you know, after my period of healing, um, I came back to service to others. I'm here now with the book and like even in this session, Um, and I didn't imagine all of this when I was, in social work and I was like, man, I wish I didn't have to do this anymore. I'm so spread thin. But there's this saying, like, if it's your calling, it won't stop calling.
Yeah.
And I really, really believe in that. So, whatever your core mission is, believe in that, water that.
And Maddie, I'm looking back at your message, and you said that like you hurt your hand and you wanted to heal faster. Maybe that was a blessing for you to slow down and to reevaluate on what you actually want. Because every time you get faced with a setback, it's setting you up for a greater comeback. And I say that with all sincerity. Imagine you have like a bow and arrow in your hands and you pull the which one do you pull back? The bow. The arrow. You pull the arrow back once, that's a setback. You pull the arrow back again, that's another setback. And you pull it back a third time, that arrow is gonna go further from the third setback than the first setback. So every time you get faced with a setback, even if it doesn't make sense at the time, just say thank you and move on with gratitude. I can tell you from my experience, I worked at my dream salon. I wanted to work there 5 years before I went to beauty school, and after 8 months, they ended up letting me go and telling me that we were gonna go separate ways. I literally had no idea what was on the other side, but I looked them in the face and I said, "Thank you," and I moved on, and I'm so thankful because if I didn't get that rejection, then I would not have been able to do the things that I have been able to do, like write and start a podcast. So sometimes our garden looks a little different than what we imagine now, but you just have to trust the plan and trust the process. God will always take you in the direction that you need to go.
Absolutely. For things to fall into place, just like you said, Annetta, for me right now, what I had constructed had to fall apart first. There was
Yeah.
no way I could have both.
That's incredible. I think I move faster than the world spins and put too much energy into the wrong things. Well, guess what? Now it's time to invest in yourself because that's the best investment. I always say like the investment that you don't make is the investment you don't make in yourself is the one that's going to cost you the most because if you keep spreading yourself thin, and I'm guilty of this too, I've spread myself thin so many times. I think when I was like 18 or 19 years old, I worked 6 babysitting jobs, and let me tell you, your girl was spread thin, and I couldn't keep up with anything. So, like, focus on you, focus on yourself, and things will fall into place. But you have to have that peace and that clarity and knowing that you are at the right place at the right time all the time. I'll even give you like a real life example that just happened like 2 weeks ago. So I moved to another city and I booked an Airbnb to stay there for a month. And it was from like May 3rd to May 31st. A week and a half into staying at that Airbnb, I didn't like it. There were just things that didn't make sense, and the people around me were not my ideal types of people. So I ended up leaving and I stayed at a hotel for 3 days, and I eventually found my dream apartment because of that setback at the Airbnb. And without that setback, I would not have been able to find a place that I can call home that I actually like. Because if I didn't go through that setback, I would have still been there wondering what the heck is next. But you just have to embrace the setbacks and know that if one good door closes, a better one will always open.
Yeah, I love that, and it also got me thinking about, like, what evokes that sense of peace. So, in that situation, what stands out to me is, your intuition speaking to you or your gut speaking to you saying something's not right here.
Yeah.
And I think a part of peace for me is knowing that voice, and like hearing it clearly enough to trust it. Because I think, after that turmoil, when you find that place, you feel that peace. But if you resist what your gut or your intuition is telling you, I think that pulls us farther away from ourselves and the path that, that is set for us or that we want to create. Of course, Forest.
That's what we're here for. That's honestly, that's what we're here for, is to create this community because this every week, because these are things that we struggled with once upon a time. And at the end of the day, we just want to give back to other people the things that we have learned and the things that we continue to learn, because life is not perfect, and nobody is perfect, but we can heal and grow together. And imperfect action is better than no action. So let's do this together. That's the whole point of it.
Yeah, I love that, little actions matter so much. What we think is who we become in our actions, so even if we're, just starting this journey and we don't really know what steps to take first, I would ask, what makes me most happy right now? Or, if there's something that you've had for a long time that helps you come back and feel grounded, what is that? Like, let's build on that. Um, so I wrote in my book earlier, if you had one life raft that kept you afloat during your hard times, what would it be?
If you had one life raft that would keep you afloat, what would it be? Oh, Emily, that's so deep. I love your writing, though. It's so amazing. If I had one life raft that would keep me afloat, what would it be? What's yours? I need to think.
Yeah, so mine, I did like internal and external.
Sure.
So let's say I'm really struggling and I can't do it myself. Sun and water are
Mm,
like two external elements I can use to pull myself back to myself. Internally, it's truth.
mm,
If I have spoken my truth, if I've accepted the truth, you know, if my intentions are good and pure, then I've done the most I can. And in that, I find peace.
Absolutely, I love that. Mine would be gratitude because there's always something to be grateful for. And I am a firm believer that gratitude will take you further than anything. Whether you understand your current situation or not, be thankful for it. Whether you're not, if even if you're not exactly where you want to be thankful you're not where you used to be. That's like the biggest key. I remember when I was living abroad in Mexico and when I stayed in hostels for 2 months, and I would always say, like, you know, "I may not be exactly where I wanna be, but at least I'm not where I started." Because where I started, I didn't know any Spanish, I didn't know anybody, and now, like, as I moved back to the States for a little bit, people ask me, they're like, "How long have you been learning Spanish?" Like, "Where are you from? Where did you learn it?" And I was like, "Oh, I've just moved to Mexico and I've been learning for the past year." They're like, "You've only been learning it for 1 year?" So it's like, to me, I feel like I could do better, but I'm thankful I'm not where I used to be. So it's really important to have that gratitude aspect.
Yeah, and I love that you say that too because in my deep healing journey, I mean, I clung to what was going to be at the end because I
Mm.
knew that no matter how bad this feels now, at the end of it, it's going to be better than where I came from.
Exactly, and it's just really having that mindset of like it only gets better. Like if I'd say gratitude and forgiveness would be my life wrap. That's beautiful. I agree. Gratitude and forgiveness. And something I want to add on to that, totally got sidetracked, but I'm gonna keep going with this. But, forgiveness is actually for yourself. That other person doesn't need a long paragraph or a 3-hour phone call from you for that closure because the forgiveness is if you can forgive somebody in yourself internally for you, then it's just like a weight that gets let go. So, like, forgiveness is for you mainly.
It really is. And I've been working on forgiveness a lot. Anetta, you'll be proud. I've started doing these affirmations like, I forgive so and so and so and so, and all these
Oh,
reasons around them. And sometimes I'm saying it out loud, and I know I don't believe it yet, but I'm saying it out loud every day until it's true.
that's so
Because I
beautiful.
deserve the freedom and I deserve the peace. Are they ever going to get this apology or forgiveness? No, it's for me.
No. And energy transmits, energy will go. So hopefully it'll soften their heart one of these days too. But it's interesting. It's a beautiful thing because you start to let go of those weights and whether it made sense or not, or no matter how much they hurt you, it's important that you forgive them. I remember the last thing I told my ex-husband was when I saw him after our divorce was finalized and everything. I said, "I don't want anything to do with you, but I forgive you for all the pain and all the hurt." And then I left. And that was like one of the most freeing things I could have done.
That is so incredible.
Yeah, it
So
was
incredible.
it's kind of bananas though, but it's just like, yeah, it's crazy. I hope it's not he changed his phone number though, because it's kind of like stuck in my head, like if I really wanted to remember it. But other than that, I don't want anything to do with him.
Oh, please changed it.
I
Oh
hope
my
he
god.
changed it.
Mm. Yeah, that's such a powerful way to think of it. When you forgive, you take away the power that they have held over you for so long. And you saying, I'm done with you, but I forgive you. That's walking away with your entire essence. And they don't
Yeah,
get to have any of that anymore.
because
That's really liberating.
all they want is a reaction out of you, and guess what? The only reaction you're gonna get is "Thank you and have a nice day."
Wow, that's really good, Anetta.
Thanks, I just do my best and God does the rest.
Do we have any closing thoughts for tonight?
Any closing thoughts? Well, before we wrap this up, I do want to encourage anybody. If you're free this weekend, we are having our Nourished Inside Out live virtual summit. It's going to be Saturday and Sunday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you love these talks that Emily and I do, or that Grace and I do on Mondays, they're just going to go in a lot deeper. And I know it's a holiday weekend, so if you're not able to stay the whole weekend, there will be a 7-day replay available as well. So we look forward to seeing you guys there. Do you have anything else to add?
Nothing really. I am so excited for the summit this weekend. I know that Anetta and Grace have been working really hard on it for months, and they have a lot of amazing speakers lined up, a lot of people that are right here on Substack. So definitely go to her page, check out what we have going on, and think about your life raft this week. You know, when you're navigating your process, what keeps you afloat?
I love that. It's a great way to end it. Thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you again next week.
See you guys next time. Bye bye.
See ya.